All right. All right. Kenny Newman's not here, so I'll say it. We're live, babe. We're live. Welcome everybody to the roundtable.
Welcome,
This is our
welcome, welcome.
69th meeting. 69th. I just can't even believe I've done anything that long. But then again, I've been in business 24 years. So, here it is. I'm sticking with it. And we'll keep going. And today we have a powerful panel. So we'll be talking about a lot of things, but just remember everything that you hear is an opinion. So do your own research, and that way you'll know that you're getting the right facts if you do the research in the right place. So there you go. You can probably get whatever you want out of the show, and you make it happen. So there you have it. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's had a great week, and I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. And a lot of people are back at work. David Dansky's back at work doing corporate work. Bruce is doing corporate work. So it's going to be a short panel today, but we got a lot of things to say. But hey, let's kick it off. Is there anybody that has something that they do want to share with us right now? So just Tom, why don't you take it?
Yeah, so I wanted to share with everybody that I went to the Creative Emmy Award show in Los Angeles on Sunday, and the handling of it was quite interesting from a COVID-19 perspective. So in order to go to the Emmys, they had you had to have provide them ahead of time with the front and back of your vaccination card. You had to get an RT-PCR test within 72 hours of the Emmys, which is typical for any TV or film shoot. But the other piece of it was that everybody was fully masked going into the Emmys, moving around. But when you sat at your table, you could take your mask off. And they had 6 tops. So it was a very interesting way to process a safe environment. And then when you got up to move or got up to leave or got up to walk around, and there was no open bar, just water served to the tables, and safety measures were in place, and they temp tested and were handing out free masks if you forgot your mask. So that was the Emmy Award creative things. What was I doing there? I was arm candy for one of the female stars. So that's what I was doing there.
I have a question. I have a couple of questions. Number one, you said masks, and it was the Creative Emmys. So did they have creative masks, like something out of the
very
characters of
creative.
Batman?
Yeah. So well, the Emmys provided KN95 masks, but the people had done some creative masking on their entrance and on the red carpet and shit like that. It was fun. They were matching their outfits and doing some fun stuff with some political commentary, of course.
Right. And the other thing you mentioned, was that there was no open bar. So did a lot of people have flasks?
No open bar, no food
served. Or were they just
served.
smoking pot?
Everybody was stoned. It was just one of those things. It's California. I think it was microdosing and pot. That was the only thing allowed. Yeah.
That's great. Hey, by the way, in case so you didn't get Michael Strickland's letter, and Tom, you probably know more about this than even I do, but Vax for Life. Are you guys familiar with Vax for Life? Basically, it's an industry-wide program right now. We're encouraging people to get vaccinated to stay alive, and we're seeing more and more and more different regulations coming down the pipe right now, so that people will start to save their own lives. I mean, Howard Stern was pretty vocal about that this week, about how people should be, getting this vaccine just to save their lives, not to mention the people around them.
Well, Jen, I hope this may be helpful to put a pin in that conversation. So the latest statistics came out in the state of California for deaths via the Delta variant, and if you look at the rate of vaccination and you look at the masking mandates and you look at the population of the state of California, as the most populous state, it has one of the least amounts of deaths due to the Delta variant because of the vaccination rate and because of the mask mandate. So if you compare that to smaller population states like Arkansas, like Alabama, like Louisiana, like Florida, it's remarkable to look at the death rate variance due to non-vaccinated people. So that is probably a big reason why Gavin Newsom is still in office today, because the protocols have worked in the state of California.
That and the fact there are more Democrats in California than there are Republicans.
2 to 1.
I think that's also
2 to 1.
another reason.
But if the whole COVID campaign had failed, we'd be in a different situation here.
Yeah. The other thing is that they didn't the California just pass a law, the Los Angeles school
Kids
district
12
now
and
said
above,
that everyone
12 and above
any,
have to
any
be
child-
vaccinated to go to school.
Right. That's what I heard as well. And also it shows that the CDC this week's mentioned that unvaccinated Americans are 11 times more likely than vaccinated people to die of COVID-19. And there were 3 studies published on Friday also by them that highlighted the effectiveness of the shots, preventing infection, hospitalizations as well. And they also came out and said that of all the vaccines, it seems the Moderna vaccine was more effective than preventing hospitalization than either the Pfizer or the Johnson's. And so we got that in the show notes that we'll put that up as well. So now, and Pfizer also said that kids as young as 5 years old could get COVID vaccines as well. And they say they want to do it by Halloween. So that's pretty exciting as well,
Yep.
And I also think corporate America is coming in as well because there's a lot of, now with the Biden administration making the what is it? The OSHA now providing
the federal law
larger
under the OSHA Occupation and Safety Act.
And that's going to help. And of course, we got to get the rate down. And Fauci is saying that we're close to herd immunity, but we got to do better. So that's it. And also another thing that happened this week is Amazon, Kroger, Walmart. They're now going to have really low cost COVID tests that you could take at home. So that should help. That should help as well. And the other thing is that there's a new study that shows that vaccine cuts the chances of long haul COVID in half. So those people that are suffering for that, that's something that. So the vaccine, it's proving that it works. Although there are some people out there that still are anti-vaxxers for various reasons. One state basically just had to put. They had to give religious exemptions for those people who have legitimate religion belief that they wouldn't get vaccinated, which seems crazy to me. But
Jan, do you want to know what the religious foundation basis is? It was the claim that they used fetal material in the development of the vaccine, which of course is completely untrue for an mRNA vaccine, which is the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, because there's no live tissue whatsoever. So that was the justification for the religious exemption, which only applies to one small vaccine, not to the other vaccines at all.
Well, I thought it had to do with the Book of Revelations, because of one of my clients.
They claim that fetal tissue is the development of the vaccine, which is completely false. It's MNR technology, no live tissue at all. So it's one of those.
No, what I'm saying is my guy, this guy who was born again, on fire, one of these religious zealots, to say the least. He's out there holding these rallies all over the world. He basically said that in the Book of Revelations, that this shows the end times. And so he was not ready to prepare for the end times, so he's not getting his vaccination. But in reality, the funny thing is that he really is preparing for his end time by not getting the vaccination. So there's
no major religious organization who has come out against vaccination, not one.
Yes, but stop the presses right now. We have our reporter from New Orleans in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Sluter is in the room, ladies and gentlemen, and evidently he's gotten his power back. Steve, what's going on over there? How you doing, man? What's happening? Are you at the office? Are you at the house? What's going on?
I'm at the house. We got power back at the office probably late Friday at some point, because we had it Monday when the guys went in. I hadn't actually been in the office, so Um,
Now, have you eaten? Have you eaten in 2 weeks? Because I heard there was no food. No food.
yeah, I had to empty my fridge and freezer out, but I still haven't filled it because it's hurricane season. So we're buying bare essentials at the moment. And of course, I lost all the fish I had in the freezer. So
Oh, man, that's terrible.
yeah,
Oh, no, no. Did you have to throw them
all
back
my
in?
trout and catfish I had. Luckily, I didn't buy shrimp
Mm.
because usually I buy 50 pounds and shove it in there. And
So, Steve, are you getting dumped on by Nicholas now? Is that coming your way?
we had some yesterday and today. Actually, it's sunny right now. It cleared up a bit.
I hear there was
Oh.
like a 3 or 4 foot storm surge in the area there.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It might help my camp. It'll clear the dock off. It's got 2 to 3 feet of sludge and marsh grass on it right now.
I,
Mhm.
wow.
Are the
Yeah.
neutrinos populating now for the crocodiles or the alligators? What you got there?
You know, I did see a couple of gators when I went down, but I didn't see any up on the land. So that's a good
But
thing.
so you've been to the camp and the camp survived.
The camp survived. The shed got 2 feet of water in it, but the camp's about 4 feet higher than the shed. So
Mhm.
the camp survived. No roof problems. Just one low corner of the boat slips where I've got to replace a couple of sheets of metal. That's it. And a lot of cleanup because the whole shed has to be dumped out and power washed, and the docks are all, like I said, I've got 2 to 3 feet of mud and marsh grass all over the docks. I may have to replace my switches for my
Mhm.
boat slips. I don't know if the water actually got into them or not. I haven't. I only
Mhm.
spent a few minutes down there when I
Well,
went
the
down
good
to
part about the good part
evaluate it.
about this is how lucky can a man be?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not his boat. He sent his boat in for repair, even not knowing that the hurricane was on its way,
Yep.
Hurricane Ida, and so his boat wasn't down there at the slip, so his boat survived. I hope,
Yeah.
right?
Actually, I picked it up today. It's sitting at the shop. I brought it
There you
into the shop yard.
go. So
So
that's really good.
it looks like a boat yard. There's 3 boats in the shop yard right now.
Mhm.
Well.
That's great. That's
Hopefully we'll get
great.
water
So
and
anyway,
power by
does
next
anybody
week.
know anything? Well, that's very cool. There you go. Well, it's good to have you back, and it's good
Thanks.
to see that you made it through the storms. But have faith, there are more storms coming. So,
Oh yeah.
batten down the hatches is what they say, I guess, right?
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so speaking of batten down the hatches, Mike, what happened today as far as NAB?
NAB announced today that they had canceled the show, and they're not having any more events this year. Their next event will be NAB, the normal NAB, in April.
And so NAB stands for National Association of Broadcasters. Is that correct?
That's correct. It depends who you believe, but it's somewhere between 60 and 80,000 attendees. It's a big show. It's the whole convention center. Even this year, they had taken part of the new South Hall after filling the the new West Hall after filling the North, South, and Central like they normally do. They took a little bit of the West Hall, which is the new expansion as well. It's a big show, big money. It's the only show I know of where you can buy a helicopter off the trade show floor. It brings a lot of people to town, and it's a yearly show. So it's probably our 3rd biggest show that happens every year, 3rd behind CES and SEMA, and NAB is probably 3rd, maybe close behind SEMA for almost 2nd.
Hold on, Mike, are you sure it's not 4th? Isn't Cavlo like way up at the top? Isn't that one of the bigger shows?
No. And
doesn't NAB just pale in comparison to Cavlo?
I'd like to think so, but no. And my goal is to be a regional trade show. My goal is to kind of help folks be able to actually go to a trade show, spend just one day there, and see at least a dozen to 20 different manufacturers. Whereas NAB, NAB's can be a tough show. NAB is one of those shows that if you have several manufacturers to see, you might have to come more than one day, just because NAB organizes their exhibitors by product type or what they do. So you'll find everything that's for acquisition, so microphones, cameras, all that, that'll be in one area. Everything that's for processing is in another area, whether it's audio or video. Everything that's for transmission, whether that's radio transmission or over fiber or over CAT or over SDI, whatever, that'll be in another area. So it can be an adventure to that's a show that I don't wear dress shoes to ever. It just makes, because you're going to walk so much, and that's not what Cavalo aims to be. Cavalo aims to be a little bit smaller.
Yeah. The other thing about NAB, it's amazing for swag.
Yes,
because
because
of all the conventions.
Those are all big companies with big swag budgets.
We get the best swag out of NAB.
I don't know if it's me or you,
close
Jan,
to
but
CinemaCon.
one of us is
that,
having
if you like candy, the swag there is out off the hook. I don't see it me, but it could be. Guys, what do you think? How's it going over there? Do you hear us all? Is we all breaking up? Is anybody breaking up?
I don't know if it's me or you, but Jan, you're breaking up. It might be me breaking up. I don't know.
I think it's Jan.
I hate to break up.
Yeah,
Morning,
Jen,
Cole.
you're
it
glitching
seems
out,
like.
and you fall behind.
Yeah, I don't see my internet. My internet seems to be pretty strong, but hey, I am in Thailand and things happen.
So I've heard
and
that
if I
Infocom
disappear,
is in
somebody else
question
take
now.
over. Let me.
I know a lot of vendors are dropping out of Infocom, which got
Infocom will not cancel.
yeah, but there's
they
so many
can't.
vendors. So many vendors are dropping out that it's
Yeah, so here's the real issue. And NAB primarily said, health and safety, COVID-19, et cetera, right? They gave all the right keywords. But what really seems to be happening behind the scenes is that the NAB and Infocom still cost the same as they did last year or 2019, 2018, 2017. If you're a mid-sized company with a say a 20 by 20 booth, Infocom and or NAB, they're going to cost you somewhere around $100,000. If you're any bigger than that, if you're a Panasonic, if you're a Sony, if you're a Legrand AV, if you are a maybe a Harman, somebody like that, your booth cost plus the travel, plus the expenses and the hotel and the per diems and the meals and all that, you're in the seven figures. You're spending millions on either one of those trade shows. So neither Infocom nor NAB has offered any kind of amelioration or lessening of their fees and their costs to the exhibitors to reflect the fact that those shows are going to be attended by a lot less people. Both Infocom and NAB and NAM, which moved to June, they attract a lot of international travelers. And it's you could pretty much say none of those travelers are coming. Maybe there's a few, but generally speaking, you could say at least 95 and probably closer to 99% of international travelers are not coming to the US right now for a trade show, either because they're scared or because we won't let them in if they show up, depending on what country they're from, right? So then you cut down some domestic travel because there's just some people who don't want to travel. There's some people who want to travel, but their companies will not let them. That is predominantly the case with any Asian-based company, I've noticed. And then just some other people that aren't going to go to Infocom or NAB in the middle of October, because that's not when they normally go. So they don't see the point, especially when normal NAB is only 6 months away. So at that point, they're just like, I'll just wait till April and go to Vegas. Infocom gets a lot of their traffic because it's the first week of summer vacation on the East Coast. And a lot of people go to Infocom and bring their family and turn it into a vacation. Obviously, you're not going to do that middle of October. So unfortunately, the unions, the vendors, your booth building companies, your power company, your carpet company, your drayage, all that, and the venues themselves, Las Vegas Convention Center and Orange County Convention Center, they're not offering any refunds to NAB or Infocom for the fact that they're going to use less space or the fact that there's going to be fewer people. So in turn, NAB and Infocom can't pass any kind of savings along because there are no savings, right? So NAB has, I think, deeper pockets than Infocom, and that's why they can cancel and simply flip anything you've deposited. Because what I've heard from a couple of exhibitors already today is that NAB let them take what they had put down for this NAB and simply transfer it to April. And some of them had already done deposits on April. So there's a few exhibitors that are now already paid in full for NAB April, which is a great position to be in as a company, right? But Infocom is not offering that in any way, shape, or form.
No, the savings is in the companies not sending their people and not setting up everything.
So now all of a sudden
you got
take
major
somebody,
companies like Panasonic that have dropped out. You got
you take
other
a Sony
companies that are just not going to go. So
yeah, you take a Sony, and even though they walked away from their Infocom money, which had to have been 6 figures, they normally send 60 to 80 people. 60 to 80 people, airfare, hotel, meals, ground transportation at both ends, lost productivity. All of a sudden you start going, hey, that's, that probably adds up to about $5,000 per person, times 80 people. Okay, that's, we're starting to talk some real money. We're actually going to save more than what we've lost. And then Infocom, why Infocom won't cancel? It's very simple. If Infocom cancels, they have to give back the money. If Infocom makes the decision to cancel, that's what's in their contract. They have to give back the money. So there's no way they're going to do that. They need that revenue after not having a show last year. David LeBukes was interviewed last week, and he revealed something, I think by accident, little slip of the tongue, but that the Infocom show is 90% of Avixa's revenue. So you can't, if they lost 90% last year and they're already going to lose compared to, let's say, 2019, 50% this year, they won't survive if they cancel. There's no way. Now, if a government mandate shut them down, that's a different story, because now they can say, hey, I didn't cancel the show. The government told me I had to cancel the show, but they're in Florida, so we know the odds of that happening are pretty slim.
So this year, Infocom is scheduled to be in Florida. I can't imagine that the state of Florida is going to stop them.
No,
I just can't imagine.
State of Florida does the opposite. They chastise people that try to be COVID compliant.
Yeah, it seems that way to me. I think I think your governor just basically made it so that the mask mandate in schools, he said that they're going to be punishing people if they enforce a mask.
They're taking the pay of the school board members and any people that are, even they're looking at businesses now and saying you can't do it. I think it's really ridiculous.
Which
I think
to me
that
is
OSHA
crazy,
is
because
from what
if it's my business, it's my business, right? Just like, the old no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Absolutely.
Okay. No mask, no service. My business. That's my, period. End of story.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I heard that Meyer canceled. They pulled out of Infocom. They just announced that.
Yeah, that's correct. They had pulled out of Infocom.
They pulled out of Infocom.
Part of it.
And so if enough people do pull out of Infocom.
Part of it being because a lot of Myers, as I understand it, having looked at the the exhibitor listing for Infocom a few weeks ago, Meyer had their booth, sure, but then they were also in the Panasonic booth, who backed out. They were in the Sony booth, who backed out. They were in somebody else's booth as the PA. So they had partnered up with several video companies to be the audio provider for those booths. And when those companies backed out, all of a sudden it's just, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And now all of a sudden you're looking at a show that's probably only going to have, if I were to guess, 20 to 25% of its normal attendance. So somewhere around 6,000 to 7,500 people. But you're still paying $200, $300, $500,000. You're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. We can't. And if you're in a position where you're not sending, where you're going to send a lot of people, all of a sudden, you, like I said, you start looking at the savings by not sending anyone. Okay, and then, let's just write off.
And the fact that it's in Florida, there's so many companies that are not sending employees to Florida because the infection rates are so high down here. They've got to get special permission to come down here and do training sessions. It's not pretty here.
Yeah, and generally it's a shame because generally speaking, Orange County itself is not horrid as far as COVID specs. They have a high rate of vaccination. Their hospitals are not overflowing, but when you just paint a broad brush called Florida, then it's a little different, right? And it doesn't help that, I think, my opinion, it doesn't help that there's a governor that seems to like irritating people, and just thinks about new ways to irritate people every day and make people anxious. So I don't know. I guess he's positioning for a run for president, but I don't know. If I was his advisor, I'd say, hey, how about doing something people like once in a while? That might help your chances.
Unfortunately, he's got a lot of people in the state that like what he's doing, that think that it's about freedom. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy when you talk to the people outside the United States that are somewhat sane and rational. They just can't understand it. And of course, more and more, the drum is starting to beat louder and louder from those people who do believe that. Like, for example, Howard Stern. He'd been pretty quiet about this, and now he's becoming outspoken in regards to it. So it is. And by the way, this is National Small Business Week, so it's unusual that I guess some bad news comes through with Infocom and NAB that they're closing the doors for this season.
Just NAB, not Infocom.
Yep. So anyway, what else is going on in the news today? And speaking of the conventions, did anybody happen to see the Apple event? Anybody see the Apple event? Nobody?
I didn't see the Apple event, and I didn't go to Zoomtopia either. I'm very not hip.
The reason I mentioned the Apple event, because for years and years and years, and they built a theater for people to come. This year they didn't use the theater. The only person in the theater was other than the tech crew. And so what I'm saying is that normally that would be the kind of event that people would come in from all over the world as well. But instead they did it virtually. So it's possible that we're going to see more virtual conventions than we are going to see people live and in person. That's something that might happen as well. So we don't know. I mean, the future, with now that people are streaming as much as they are, like including this meeting, for example, before the pandemic, there would have been no way that we would be doing something like this, and all of us getting together from all different parts of the world to have some sort of interaction about what's going on in the week. So technology is coming along, but it doesn't change the fact that people need people. You need the touch of another human being. And the trade shows, to me, have always been not just so much seeing what's new, but actually getting to see people that you've been on the phone with or you haven't seen in a year that you do like, and now you get together with them. So to me, those trade shows are super important because, you know, of the human touch. You know, the more high tech we get, the more high touch we need as people. And so I see that as happening. Anybody have any other opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously,
Now,
I think
Wayne, you're in. Yeah. Now, Wayne, you're out in Australia. What have they been doing? Now, you mentioned earlier before we got on, before we started going on to Facebook and YouTube, you were mentioning something about a lockdown where you are in Australia.
Yeah, Sydney's still in lockdown, I think. I've been in lockdown for a month and we got let out. We got unleashed last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It was good because it was only a month for us. But Sydney's been in lockdown for quite some time. And I'm pretty sure they still are. I think there's some restrictions have been lifted, but it was stay at home up until last Saturday. And I'm hoping it stays that way. So I got one show booked.
And the reason is?
Sorry?
Oh, so you got a show coming up.
Oh, one show came. It's not till November, and hopefully we've already had one go at this show. I got through the whole setup. We got the next day. We did the drums came in, the keyboard player came in, and then we got the notification to say everyone's going into lockdown at 5 p.m. So I said, oh, why didn't they wait till 12? So we could have fitted the show in. But anyway, the show got cancelled, so we're going to have another go at it. And we've got one other show it got cancelled 3 times, but it's been put off till next year now, that particular one. But so I'm very pleased that the lockdown's finished, and hopefully it stays that way. Scientists
did I read?
Sorry,
Wayne, did I read correctly that your government is giving $20 million to people like people in the performance side, the sound companies, the venues? Did I read that correctly?
I couldn't answer that, Jan, but I did think that there was applications for certain grants due to the COVID-19. But we've got some other things going here. We've got JobKeeper going on, which is people they were getting $750 a week through their employer if they applied, but you had to be 60% down in turnover. But I'm not sure about the lump sum. I couldn't answer the lump sum payouts. But the $750 per person that was working that was put off during lockdown, that's a pretty good handout, I thought, personally. Certainly would have helped you along.
Yeah,
maybe not the same as you pay, but
it really. Yeah, the money that the government did give you, it did help a lot. The PPP loans really helped, really assisted a lot, and for us staying around, it was definitely it definitely helped me out a great deal. The money, and I hear there's another round coming along for certain people. Right now, they're thinking about giving elderly people in the United States another assistance and giving government money to them. So I think that would be a really good thing, seeing I would probably qualify for it and I would like it, but what the hell, would be nice. By the way, Coldplay just announced that they're going to be playing at Seattle's Climate Pledge Arena. It's going to be their first show in nearly 5 years. The grand opening artist at the Seattle Center. So it's going to be the first net zero carbon certified arena in the world. Does anybody know what that means? I mean, Tom, are you still in the room? I think Tom's. Yeah, Tom, are you familiar with that? Because it seems like you would know about that kind of stuff because where you're living out by the beach area, or you have. But does anybody know what that means? Net carbon zero arena? Well, good. something for you guys to do homework on. Somebody can come in next week and talk.
Unmute.
About what it
Let me give you a
means
shot. So net
to be
carbon zero typically
net
means
carbon
that the amount
zero.
of carbon you
I don't
produce.
know what that means, but whatever it is, that's something else. I love the sign. Oh, there you go.
Jan, you have
and he
a-
muted
Jan,
right in the
you're-
middle of a sentence. Oh.
Jan, your connection is just getting worse and worse and worse. Sorry to tell you.
All right, Tina, what I'm going to do is let me make Tina the host, and then I'm going to try to change my internet connection. So if I get blown out, that basically Tina will keep this going, and then I'll come back in as soon as I can.
Yeah, I'd
All right,
log
Tina
out
is
and log
now
back
the
in.
host, and she will have that, and I'm going to change.
Bye, Jan.
I guess he's out now, right?
Okay, Tina, don't let him back in. Just
Block.
keep him knocking and knocking and knocking. And see, he's frozen, even though I'm guessing he logged out, but I think he's frozen.
Yes.
Can you make that image, make that screen go away? That's kind of creepy. I think you can right click on it and close it.
remove? No, I,
Oh, wait, he made me an administrator too.
Yeah, I'm gonna change my internet connection right
Oh,
now.
yeah, see, that was from
And hopefully I
whatever.
won't get blown off.
45, there you go. Okay, there we go. Oh, thank God. Now we can watch Paul talk on the phone.
Paul is muted. Okay, so Tom left, huh? Tom had to go.
I guess Tom had to go. Or I guess he didn't feel he needed to be here if Jan wasn't going to be here.
So Chris, how's business for you? You have stuff going on?
It's slow. We have a couple of festivals that, of course, it's raining every day.
Right.
So that's putting a damper on things, and we're just basically doing some subcontracting that way, and we've got some installations going, and installations have been what's floating us.
I got you.
Yep.
Yeah, we have some installs lined up, but they got held up with just trying to get the gear in. We still
Yeah,
don't have all the gear, and it's been over a month now.
yeah. I've got stuff sitting in my warehouse that people canceled orders for, or they postponed orders for, and then now they want the stuff, and so we're a year later we're doing them.
Yeah.
We've got a nice little theater up in Fort Lauderdale that we're just completing, and that's coming online this weekend.
Okay.
Parker Playhouse, and they've got a nice lineup coming in. It's a small theater, about 1,500 seats, 1,700 seats, something like that. But
Nice.
it's a nice D&B rig going in there. So, yeah. Otherwise, no, it's not been very hectic at all.
Yeah. Surprisingly, we've been pretty steady. We had two shows out of town, one in North Carolina, and then went to Atlanta. And I think we have I think it's more of a interactive Zoom type thing going on Monday and Tuesday, I think.
Hmm.
So, and then we have the installs if the gear ever makes it in.
Yeah.
We're backed up on some D&B stuff for those too, right now.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we've had cruise ship stuff lined up and pushed back, and just keeps getting pushed back, and they're starting to work again, but not to the point where they need our help with it. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
I don't know what's going to
Hanging
happen
in
with South by Southwest this year in Austin. I don't know. Last year they canceled it the day before the event. They canceled it, and it's in March, and so they had to. They don't give refunds. It's really clear in their policy for their event that under no circumstances do they give any refunds. So I mean, anybody that would sign up for it, wouldn't they be taking kind of a risk right now?
Yeah.
So I don't know
Hey, Jan.
where that's headed. I don't know where ACL Fest is headed.
Yeah, we're very clear
Well,
about
nobody does.
Oh, look, there's Jan. Tina, you weren't, man,
That was you, Mike. That was you.
I didn't let him in. I was on a completely different screen.
I know it was you.
And no, you can't keep a good man down. But the internet is unstable here. I'm getting error messages that the internet is unstable. And
Yeah,
I
you're
tried
only
switching
coming
over
through
to
about every
hardwire,
third
and it
frame.
didn't do anything.
You should talk less. It's a good look for you.
That's good. That's good. Keep up the good work. Let me see if I could do this now. Tina, you should be the host. I believe you're the host, but for some reason it looks to me like I became the host again. So I'm going to give you back.
Yeah, Tina's the host now. It says so on the box there.
And there you go. And so now I'm going to try to change my connection again. If I get disconnected, carry on without me. I'll be back.
So, Mike,
Sure.
what do you think about South by and about ACL Festival?
Yeah, so that's the big challenge, right? And we're pretty clear with our policies as well. I mean, if we cancel the show, it's 100% refund, period. Which I've had a lot of people tell me I should keep at least like a 10% or something to cover my time to date. That's something like that. But I think my policy is easier to explain when I just say, if I cancel, you get 100% back. If the customer cancels, they lose their deposit. They lose 50%, but they get the rest back, or they can roll it over to the next show, which in this case would be Nashville in April.
Yeah, well, South by has the rollover deal. You can roll it over, but they don't give refunds, period. And their deal is $12.25 for a platinum badge, which it gives you
well,
all
see,
events.
See, and I only charge exhibitors. I don't charge attendees.
Yeah, that's attendees. If you just
yeah.
want to do the film, it's $895. If you
Yeah,
want to do
see,
the music, it's $895. If you want to just do online, it's $299. Well, they won't cancel the online. So if you paid the $299, you could go to the online. If I really wanted to go, I could probably get Hugh Forrest to give me a press pass, but I haven't heard from Hugh. Hugh kind of disappeared. I haven't
there's
heard
been,
from him
all
summer.
Even at this point, there's people I was talking to a year ago when I first created Cablo that in the last couple of months aren't answering emails, and I text them and get nothing back. So I'm a little concerned that perhaps time has claimed them and they are no longer with us, because there has been a little bit of that in our industry, of course. But yeah, so it's challenging. It's a challenging time to be producing live events. In some way, not specifically because of COVID, but just the uncertainty that COVID creates and people being uncertain. But I think there have been enough events now to prove that if you have an event and you actually host it and you open the doors, people will come. You have Monday Night Football. I don't know how many of y'all watched the football game. I know Tina did.
Of course I did.
She might have even been there.
Of course I was tailgating.
But there was a line outside to get your COVID vaccination, because they set up a COVID vaccination booth. Actually, it was a trailer, like a construction trailer, like a double wide. And there was a line out the door pretty much all night, because you couldn't get in unless you were vaccinated or had a negative test. But they weren't providing the test.
They said they vaccinated over 241 to 71 people, 200 some people.
What was that, Tina? You're super low.
No, they said they vaccinated approximately, I think it was 241 or 271 people there at the game.
Yeah, because and I thought that was genius. You can go somewhere else to get tested, or you can stay here and we'll vaccinate you, which is kind of ludicrous when you think about it, because clearly the vaccination is not going to take effect in the time it took them to walk from the trailer to the stadium, 200 yards or whatever. But it still got 271 people vaccinated that we could argue weren't ever going to get vaccinated otherwise, because if they were, they would have by now, right? So listen, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But with concerts here selling out, Concerts everywhere are selling out. My daughter wants to see Harry Styles, right?
Yes.
And she wanted to go see him in Houston Sunday afternoon. She says, hey, if we fly out tonight, we can see him in Houston Monday night and then fly home Tuesday morning. And I'm like, well, first off, you have school. Secondly, that's a lot of money. She's like, I already did the math. I'll pay for it. It would have wiped out her entire life savings that she has until now. But she was like, serious. I was like, no, how about we do this? So we started looking around, looked at Dallas, looked at, other places that I have family or and sold out. So concerts are sold out pretty much everywhere, it seems to be. Football games are sold out pretty much everywhere. Jan's back.
I am back, and I'm now on hardwire. I had to reboot my computer. So there you go. Keep going. Hey, I see nothing's changed since I've been gone, except Josh
Yes.
Zimmerman.
Except we got smarter.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any shortage of people wanting to go to events. It's just a matter of what kind of event is it? Is it a local/regional, or does it attract international folks? And is it a short-term event like a game or a concert, or is it a multi-day event like a festival or a trade show or something like that?
What do you think is going to happen in March with COVID and all that, Mike? Any predictions?
Come March?
Yeah, March.
Oh, I think, we're talking March is now 6 months away, 7 actually. I think come March, we are fully, COVID isn't this thing anymore. We are either beyond it or we've established how we're going to live with it and we're moving on.
So maybe they could have a real event in March then. Maybe March will be the comeback.
Oh, yeah, no,
time.
I think come probably honestly, LDI is scheduled for November, and so far they're saying we're on, period. SEMA is right after them, which is the big car parts show. That's a huge show here in Vegas. And last week they put out a statement saying we're on, period. And CES so far is saying in January that they're on. And CES is interesting because that's a lot of international travelers also. But so we'll see how that turns out. We have the rodeo back here in early December. I think that'll be a little bit of a test for us. But I think generally speaking, nationwide, by February, March, we'll either be past COVID or we'll be past talking about COVID, and certain things will just be accepted. And if whether it's vaccination check or some sort of passport or showing your vaccination card, or it's added to your ID, there's been some talk of that here in Nevada, that they could very simply recode the DMV computers so that when they scan the back of your license, that barcode kind of thing that's back there, it would indicate not just your age, but also your vaccination stats. Just like there's real ID now, right? You got to have the ID with the gold star on it to use it to get on a plane. They push that back, but there's some talk within federal circles about, okay, you don't get the gold star unless you've been vaccinated. And you don't, getting on an airplane is not an inalienable right. It's a privilege. It's private carriage. So at some point, airlines too could jump in and say, you know what, this is just going to be us. We're going to require this. We're going to cater to business folks, and we're going to require only vaccinated folks or whatever. But I think by February, March, we'll either be past COVID or we will be past the point where it's something we talk about because we will have decided how we're going to live with it, and that's been implemented pretty much across the board.
I hope you're right, but you could be wrong too.
No.
Well, you could either be right or wrong, or you can't. I don't know. Is there a third choice? You're either right or wrong. Or,
Well, yeah,
anyway,
could be somewhere in the middle.
The thing is, Paul, I was wrong back on the 4th, so I'm pretty much done for the month.
Yeah. Or like I
Well, what do
always
you
say,
think, Jan? What do you think March? What's March going to look like next year?
Well, Paul, what I think is I've never been wrong. I thought I was once, but I was mistaken. That's my logo right there, you know.
Well, give me
the
your
re-
March prediction. What's the
my
world
March
going to be like
prediction
in March?
is I think Duke is going to go all the way. That's what my March prediction is. I like no, I don't think there's going to be a Texas school in the Final Four. So there you have it. Sorry about that.
No,
You know,
no,
go
I meant
Longhorns.
your global pandemic prediction, not your sports prediction.
Well, basically, the way I see it right now is that if we don't get this vaccination business under control, where we can get herd immunity, that COVID is going to be around for a long time. However, the economies of the world right now are collapsing right under us. And I can see it here in Thailand, where I am, whereas there is just no business. The hotels are working at like 96% losses. You know, they're at a 4% profit of what they were 2 years ago. And I don't know how much more sustainable that can be for any business. I mean, I know what our business is going through. I'm sure all of the people in the room right now knows how far their business is off compared to what it was in 2019 or 2018. You know, these are worse levels than 2007. These are worse level than 2001, right after 9/11, when everything shut down. So I don't know how much longer industry could go at these levels. That's something. So it will come down to a survival factor, whereas the government just will have to just say, well, this is what these are the people we've been able to protect. The rest are just going to have to go by the wayside. And
Yeah, Robert Dolgen in Koh Samui over in your neck of the woods. He and I had about an hour talk the other day on Facebook, and I said, "Well, how are your villas doing?" He said, "Terrible." It said, "I've got two people here renting villas. They're $1,000 a month, and he's only got 2 rented out of 14. So
And
that's
I'll
terrible."
bet anything, Paul, that those villas that he's renting for $1,000 a month in the high season normally goes for about $5,000 a month.
Oh yeah,
And
they're deluxe. They've got each of his villas has a swimming pool, and they're incredible. It's like a little house, you know, on a hillside with an incredible view of that whole region, you know. And he's got it. He had it going on till this happened. So I guess Mike Hope didn't pump up his business that much by doing that work for him, you know.
Well, their island is basically closed. People can't go there right now. That's the challenge, is that they just opened up domestic travel and here in Thailand, and then they closed it back down. For example, they did it very suddenly, whereas the government here in Phuket decided to extend what they had, all the rules and regulations for COVID. And I'll give you one example. Right now, when I go out to my elevator, there is a sign on the elevator that if you get caught in public without wearing a mask, it's a 20,000 baht fine. 20,000 baht. So if you think about it, you know, the average, the police chief makes 40,000 baht a month. And so that would be half his monthly salary. To give you a concept of how much money that is. You know, you asked me, well, for a foreigner, you know, where the money is 30 to 1, well, that's only $600 and something, but still that's a big increase from when it was only 6,000 baht, like when I first got here. So they are definitely putting the clamps down here and doing everything that they can to keep what they've got open. But there is a city on the other side of the island where I am, called in Rahway, that they've closed down completely. Nobody in, nobody out. China just closed down a major city with 4.5 million people in it. Nobody in, nobody out. Everybody home until they can get it down. So it's a frightening thing. It's not that everybody's dying from COVID. It's not everything that, you know, that when you get sick from COVID, that's the end. But the challenge is that they only have so many hospitals. And right now the hospitals are filling up the capacity. So there are certain areas where if you had a heart attack, you are going to die because there's not enough beds for you because the COVID patients are taking them all up. So that's the scary part of it. And I guess that's why society as a whole is stepping up, or governments as a whole saying, we got to put a clamp on this. Otherwise, we're going to have major deaths in the street. And so I think that that's the challenge. So who knows what's going to happen next week, much less next month, or much less in March of next year. We're just hoping that people wise up and they get it together. What I don't understand, and maybe Wayne could help us here, is that Sydney's been locked down for months now. Why is that? Why? What's going on in Australia that's forcing the government to close down Sydney? Is there not enough vaccinations? What's happening there?
Well, I think that they're trying to get up to where 80% of the people are vaccinated, and then they'll open up. But I purely think it's about just not having too many people go to hospital, and they're just trying to stop the transmission. But I'm a bit of a person that believes that the scientists are the only ones that can ever fix this at the end of the day. The vaccines, or maybe even a bug killer. But I don't know how endless lockdown will eventually play out, to be quite honest. But Sydney, I think they're just trying to, because we've got our borders closed, and they're just trying to stop it spreading. It's basically what they're trying to do. But is it stoppable? Because in Sydney, they've got quite a few. They're getting about. It's still. I think they're getting about 1,000 new cases a day or something like that. But the other day, cases were turning up 500 kilometres away in virtually back of New South Wales, which is pretty much like desert country. But the little towns had it turning up there. That's sort of, I don't know how that happened, because there's like nearly 500 kilometres away. So someone obviously went there with carrying the bug and then spread it in the small community. And that happened a bit around New South Wales. But I still think that the only answer is the scientists. And they're doing a pretty good job. But we probably, hopefully, might even find, I don't think they'll ever find a bug stopper, because they've never found a bug stopper, have they, for those type of viruses. But the vaccine seems to be doing good. I just think that everyone should get vaccinated. End of story. I've got both my soldiers. I've got the first lot and the second lot, and I'll have a third one if they give it out. But I don't know. Can't see that endless lockdown is sustainable. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but.
No, I agree with you. I would think that everybody in this room would be of the same opinion, that there is no possible way that they're going to continue to keep a lockdown forever. I just don't see how it's possible, No. But you did mention one thing, Wayne, about bug killer. And I know here in America, they do have Raid, and it kills bugs pretty dead. I mean, I just, maybe we can get those anti-vaxxers to kill the bug in their own body using Raid. That might be an idea. Just remember, this is an opinion. Do your own research. That's all I could say. But but on one bit of good news, and I want to share this with you guys, has nothing to do with COVID. But Dunkin' Donuts is giving away free coffee. So if you're looking for free coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, and it's a pretty good coffee, Dunkin' Donuts. I think they're all over the country, but Dunkin' Donuts is giving away free coffee, and we are going to put a link in there, how to get your free cup of coffee, and I think you can get it more than once a week. So there you go. That might be a way. To get free coffee. Help your pocketbook out. By the way, speaking of pocketbooks, and to change the subject again to something, I was reading an article. It's on CNBC, which is, I believe that's the kind of the money channel. They have an article on how much money you need to invest every month to retire with 1 million, 2 million, 3 million broken down by age. So that is something that is, I thought that article was more than fascinating. Basically, at age 30, you need to save about $613 every month to have $1 million in savings. And so we'll throw the link in the chat so that you could see how far off you are from being a millionaire when you retire. That's something it's depressing for sure. I thought I was going to be a young millionaire, but that ship has sailed.
Yeah, in this town, a millionaire is considered lower income.
Well, with that in mind, I think we've had enough. I think we've had enough YouTube and Facebook people, wondering what we're doing. So let's leave them with this thought. Remember, everything you heard was an opinion. Do your own research. We really appreciate you joining us. Next week is going to be our 70th meeting, and you're more than welcome to join us. Just follow the links, send us an email or a note on Messenger, and we will send you the link to be part of the panel. So we thank you all for coming and watching. And with that in mind, remember, you make it happen. Stay safe and healthy. And we will be back again next week, the same bad time, same channel. And hopefully you will join us. All right. So goodbye to everybody on YouTube and Facebook. See you next week. Remember, you make it happen. And the rest of us will talk